Hi, welcome to The Man in the Kitchen. I'm Levon, this is my kitchen, and today I'm gonna show you how to make the most delicious, sticky, slow-cooked pork hogs. Pork hogs are basically pig legs. To be more accurate, they're the lower part of the pig leg. At the top, they're really thick and they kind of have a lot of meat on them. And then as they go down, they narrow down. At the bottom, they're quite thin. And that's the cut that I have today. It's a really, really delicious dish. There's not too much meat on them, but there's lots of kind of bone marrow, tendons, fat, all of it kind of slow cooks and gets reduced into this awesome, beautiful, thick sauce. There's a lot of variety to it. There are all these different cuts, like pork hogs, that are just unknown or kind of go under the radar. I love cooking with them. They make the dish so interesting. It's so unique. Stirs you up a bit, stirs up your interest a bit. You get to try something new. It might not be for everybody, I'm not gonna lie, but I think it's something that you should try at least once so that you know for yourself. Let's go. Before we kick things off, if you want to stay up to date with more of these kind of interesting recipes from maybe not something you would cook every day, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button below the video. That way you'll always be up to date. Thanks so much. Cheers. So what are we gonna need? Well, we're gonna need some pork hogs. I have small cuts and they're kind of from the bottom part of the leg. You can also cook it with kind of the upper part. We're gonna need a few dry spices, anise, dry cloves, and bay leaf. For anise, you can either use star anise, or in this case, I couldn't find star anise, so I just used anise seeds. Anise in general goes amazingly well with pork. I don't know why. We're gonna need some fresh ginger, fresh spice peppers. These aren't spicy hot peppers, these are spice peppers. They have a bit of a kick to them, but mostly they're kind of flavorful and sweet. We're also gonna need an onion, some garlic, some soy sauce, some honey, and about a glass of white wine or mirin. But lastly, we're gonna need some sesame oil. That's it. So, the prep is gonna consist of two parts. So we're gonna give the meat a first boil. What I mean by first boil is we're gonna bring it up to a simmer, let it go for maybe 20 minutes or so, 15 minutes, and then toss that broth. The reason we're doing that is, as you'll see initially, there's gonna be a lot of kind of impurities and kind of foam that comes out of this cut that we don't want in our dish. We're just gonna toss that, we're gonna give them a nice wash and put them back on. While they're simmering, we're gonna prep all our spices. So for that, all we gotta do is take ginger, peppers, garlic, onion, and just roughly chop it. Onion, we're gonna chop in half. Ginger, we're maybe gonna slice a bit. The spice peppers, we're also just gonna go in half. Same with garlic. You know, we're not trying to mince anything. We're just trying to open it up so that all of them release their flavor. And that's it, the prep is done. There's nothing else to do. Let's go to the stove. Looking at the pot, it's been simmering for about 15 minutes now, and this is all the foam that I was talking about. So we're gonna take this pot and we're just gonna toss it into the sink. We're gonna give the meat a nice wash, give the pot a nice wash, fill it back up with fresh water, and set it to boil again. While it's coming up to a boil, we're gonna toast these spices so that they release their aromas. So what we're gonna do is bring a small pan to high heat. We're not gonna put any oil in it or anything like that. It's gonna be a dry toast. We're gonna start off with the onion, and we're just gonna place it face down. We're gonna let it go for about 3 minutes, 4 minutes. You can take a peek at it. Once you see kind of a nice black brown char on it, we're done. We're just gonna take and dump it into the pot. After the onion, we're gonna go with all the rest of these spices. We're gonna toss them in and kind of just give them a nice stir. All these different colors, all these different spices, the aromas are gonna go straight to your head. We're gonna keep stirring them occasionally for about 3-4 minutes, make sure they don't burn. And again, once they start to toast, once you kind of see maybe toasted bits of your spices, maybe a bit charred ginger, you know you're done. Take the whole pan and plop it into the pot. We're gonna top it up with about half a cup of soy sauce and half a cup of honey. You could also use brown sugar if you like that more. Lastly, we're gonna pop in about a cup of white wine or mirin. It's just gonna add a bit of acidity to this sauce. That's it, the sauce is done. There's nothing else to do. This pot is now full and we're gonna let it simmer for 3 hours. So make sure you reduce the heat so that it doesn't overboil, but you want it bubbling. We're trying to evaporate maybe half to 3/4 of that liquid. We're gonna check in on this in about 1.5 hours, 2 hours, and we're just gonna add one more thing to it before I let it go for the next hour. So at this point, we're about 1.5 hours in, an hour maybe and 45 minutes, but you can see the sauce is already quite thick. So we've reduced it by about half at this point. The hogs are entirely cooked already. The sauce is kind of thickening up, but we wanna thicken it up even more. We want it to be really thick, kind of sticky, just this awesome, beautiful brown mixture. What we're gonna do is add about 3 tablespoons of sesame oil. It's gonna add really, really awesome flavor. And it's also gonna give this dish that beautiful shine. So we're gonna add it, give it a stir, and just look how it's glowing. We're gonna leave it on there for another hour and we're gonna be done. Now, these timings are, of course, depending on how much water you had in there initially. So if you're already at a point where the sauce is like 2/3 reduced, you might wanna leave it on for less. Make sure it doesn't burn. At the end of that last hour, we're done. Look at this gorgeous dish. All those cuts of meat are completely falling apart in there. There are bones, there's a little skin, a little fat, and look at this gorgeous sauce. It's thick and it's kind of glowing, it's sticky, it's sweet, and it's full of all of those spices. The concentration there is insane because we put them in a full pot of water and they're reduced into like 1/3, 1/4, and all that flavor is completely concentrated in that little bit. Delicious. And that's it. You can go ahead and enjoy it. You know, maybe have it with some rice, have it with some fresh veggies. It's super, super delicious. So I hope you give it a try. Thank you so much for hanging out. I had a blast. If you enjoyed this video, please leave me a like. It really helps me out. And I would love to hear from you in the comments if you gave this dish a try. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you next time. Cheers.